Hey, I'm Dustin.
And I'm Steve. This is the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast, the finest phototainment in the world. We are your number one irreverent look at photography. Dustin, I'm so glad to be here with you tonight.
How are you feeling? You doing okay?
How am I feeling? Oh, I'm tired. I'm real tired. For people who don't know, Jen and I welcomed another baby into the world, and Jen is not getting much sleep. I'm getting more sleep than Jen, a lot more, but I'm still not getting as much sleep as I would like. You know, like how they say you should get 8 hours of sleep a night? Well, that's like if everything comes together, falls right in place, I might get that like once a month. But most nights I'm rocking 4 to 6 hours. It's been great though, because if I pass out on the couch at 2 p.m, my loving wife doesn't get mad at me for that. So,
Hey,
yeah,
there you go. That's always a plus.
yeah. And I'm trying to help out as much as I can, but you know, there's only so much you can do in the middle of the night for the baby when you know the baby's not a 100% bottle fed baby, you know. So it's a lot of Jen waking up in the middle of the night and me.
Have you tried though? Have you tried to breastfeed the baby? Because from my Dr. Fokker documentary I watched many millennium ago, if it's got nipples, it can feed. I think that's what he said.
Milk it.
Milk it, yeah. So I'm just curious, perhaps if you just didn't put forth the effort like your wife.
Well, you know, I do try to milk my own nipples from time to time, but I think until milk shows, it would be considered some form of weird hunger abuse to do that to a child. Plus, my nipples are hairy, bud. They're hairy.
That's what wax is for, bud.
Oh gosh. Oh, Jen and I, when we were first married, she convinced me I should try like to wax. I think it was my chest or something.
Your entire body is what I saw.
Yeah. Eventually we got there, but no, it was painful, and I did not like it, and never did that again. What you saw was just, you know, a normal shave down, because I used to swim in high school, and like, you know, I know how to get rid of that hair.
Yeah, but not the nipple hair. That's
not
the
nipple hair. And not the eyebrow hairs anymore either. Not like in high school when my brother tricked me.
Fun times. So other than having a baby, which no one really cares about, what's new with you, Steven?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
I was just curious if you had any like short-term memory loss, walking with maybe a limp, after you teased the listeners that I attempted to murder you in Chicago.
Well, I would say, you know, if you wanted, let's say there's another photographer that you're jealous of. Say a real, for you, Dustin, we'll say a real Steve type, you know, just handsome.
Yes. Handsome devil
voice, really a banger in the camera sack, you know, just really banging out those good images. But let's say he's
really good with raw. Yep.
Oh yeah, raw dogging it.
Not a JPEG kind of guy.
No, he's not compressed at all down there. Let's say you wanted to get rid of that person. So yes. I was thinking about like what you would do to get rid of that person. And I think like, you probably would want to isolate them from their friends and family. So make them go to another city, maybe in another state entirely, a state that you could flee shortly after, you know, taking care of that business. You'd probably want to, you know, get them close to a body of water or some other thing that could, you know, wash away most of the physical evidence on their body, so that, you know, the police wouldn't have anything to look at once they found the body. And, you'd probably want to be able to set things up like maybe it was an accident of some sort.
Right.
And when I thought about all those things, it really clicked in my mind that you were trying to kill me.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Not trying to kill you.
Because I want to have this on record for the police. So one day when my body does come up missing after shooting a wedding with you, they know that I was suspicious ahead of time and that I foolishly made the mistake of trusting you again with my life, which was a huge mistake.
Yeah, why don't you walk the listeners through what happened, Steven?
Walk the listeners through what happened. So Dustin convinced me. He lured me with the promise of riches to the beautiful jewel of the Midwest that is Chicago, Illinois,
the Windy City.
Yeah, and there was
it windy?
Yeah, there's a promise of riches. There's a promise of just anything my heart desired. Like Starbucks.
Didn't promise you that you would get wet.
A ride in a Tesla. Well, you promised me I'd get wet, but it was going to be a different kind of wet. You know what I'm saying? Wink.
Oysters.
Oh, if only we had time. But you lured me out onto a bridge in Chicago for the shot. You're like, Steve, we got to do this one for the gram. And then you're like, Steve, stand there and hold this light for me. And then you jumped up on top of a bridge, unbeknownst to me, with only one camera, not with two of your cameras. And the place where you had set that other camera was directly behind me. At which point, I believe you said, Steve, I need you to move the light back a little farther. I feel like that was said, right? Right.
I don't think so.
You treated me like a light stand, like you so often do to your wife and other people who shoot with you. And you gave me a light and just said, hold this and shine it on them. And so I went to take a step back, just trying to help out my good friend Dustin on top of this rusty metal bridge in downtown Chicago. At which point my foot hit what was a camera, but I had no idea. And then I don't really remember what happened next. Everything goes black for me.
Threw your body back. And this was not like just any ordinary bridge. This was like a steel bridge, like a solid steel bridge. So Steven throws his body back, trying to avoid what I think he must have thought was a cat or something, and goes head first into the bridge. And because it's steel and metal and aluminum and all of these things, the sound of Steven's
steel, not aluminum,
body hitting just reverberated all along the coast of Chicago, where people were flocking over to call an ambulance. And Steven was like, no, I'm good, but I don't want to get up. I just want to lay here for a while in this dazed state. So no one really knew if Steven was okay or not. But needless to say, we continued photographing for 30 more minutes.
Dustin was like, well, Steve's hurt, so I guess we should push on and keep doing photos. Steve, can you get over here with that light? Get behind them for me. Get down on your knees behind them. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Steve, just keep on chugging away, bud. We do have to preface, though, that this was one of those weddings where anything that could have gone wrong pretty much went wrong. And so this was just sort of the icing on the cake that Steve should die at this wedding.
Almost die.
Almost. Keyword. This is actually a clone I had created in the possibility that he did perish.
Well, yeah, I was mostly dead. We had to go to Miracle Max. He gave me a pill coated in chocolate, brought me back, but know.
Mm-hmm. Now he has hairless nipples. I mean, hairy nipples. That was one side effect.
One's hairy, one's hairless.
One has chocolate milk, strawberry milk. Anyways, but you survived, and you got to photograph with the world-renowned photographer, Dustin McKibben. So there's that.
There's a world-renowned photographer there?
Yeah. So you can add that to your LinkedIn and your Twitter profile.
But doesn't... The concussion wasn't the only way you tried to kill me, which, by the way, I did go to my doctor, and it was confirmed it was a concussion. Fun times.
Yeah. There you go.
You also tried to kill me another way at that wedding. I don't know if you remember that. But a few days later, I get a phone call from you. Just let me know, just casually, that the videographers who we'd spent the whole day with,
forgot about this.
They came down with COVID. No biggie. They caught COVID at the wedding. Also, several other people who had been attending the wedding also caught COVID. Was the bride one of the people who caught COVID? I feel like.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the bride caught COVID. So the people we were around most of the day, the bride, bridesmaids, videographers,
most of the bridal party, parents of the bridal party.
Yeah, they all got COVID. So then I had the fun thing when I got home, because I had a wedding to shoot that next weekend, of going out to get COVID tested, and then also doing a takeaway test at my house as well.
And you were good. You were fine.
Well, that's what the vaccine's for, but yeah.
Right. That's right.
Oh, gosh. It was really funny, too, because the videographer, the specific one who caught COVID at the wedding,
wore a mask the entire day.
Came up to me at one point in time during the wedding and said, "It's like they're trying to give us COVID." And then he got COVID.
And they succeeded.
Yep.
They succeeded. I think in Chicago, they aren't yet used to the larger wedding gatherings like us from Indiana. So to him, it was a bit of a shocker. And it wasn't even like a big wedding in my mind compared to what I'm used to. It's probably like 150 people.
Yeah, but 150 people feels like a lot. I mean, most of the weddings Jen and I do would be around 200 people. So
right,
150 is not that small.
200 to 300 is pretty average for me.
Yeah. Whew. I gotta say though, the last 3 weddings I shot. Yeah, the last 3 weddings I shot.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, Steven.
Yes. The last 3 weddings I shot, my second shooter was like, it's like people have forgotten that COVID exists. And largely, I think people have.
Yeah. So the wedding I shot right after that one, the videographer at that wedding caught COVID too.
Jeez, are people not getting vaccinated?
No, I think videographers are just a higher risk than photographers. So,
I mean, you do got to put mics on people. You got to get up close in their, in their space when you do that. And specifically, the videographer who caught it at the wedding we were shooting was the person who put the lav mics on.
Yeah. And that's why you guys should all be shooting with 70 to 200s or 85s.
Or 135s, right?
That's what I shoot with.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't want to give that one away, though? You don't want people to
that's the secret sauce. That's the secret sauce, the 135. That's my gravy lens.
Get that Dustin sauce all over you, listeners.
I mean, I did switch back. I had some sessions the other week, and I had forgotten my 135, and so I used my 85, which is what I used to use back when I shot Nikon. And I was like, it's just, I don't like this as much. It's not as creamy. It's not as pretty, because the 135 is just, it's like in between the 85 and the 70 to 200 in terms of that look and feel, without quite as heavy of a lens as carrying around your 200 millimeter.
Yeah. But I mean, nowadays you could just shoot everything with a 50 and then use that Lightroom masking to mask your subject. And just blur everything else.
I've not tried that out yet. Have you played with that?
Yeah. So
perfect. What are you drinking tonight?
Oh, Dustin, tonight I'm drinking a Fruity Nuggets ×2 from 450 North down in Columbus, Indiana. Jen and I went there the other night. We were looking to get some of that good 450 North pizza, but it was a 45-minute wait to get into the place. And an hour and 15 minutes after we showed up was when they finally texted us to say they had a table ready. And by that time, we'd been gone for about 45 minutes. So.
Man, oh man.
But I picked up some beers before I left. You know what I'm saying?
Is that like a fruity beer? Is that what you said?
No, it's called Fruity Nuggets, but it's a DIPA. So it's a double dry hopped double India Pale Ale with Strata, Citra, and Galaxy hops.
Show me the can as if I would be able to see it.
It looks like a Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah, it's just blurry. Yep.
It looks like the Fruity Pebbles logo, kind of. So you would think it would be fruity, especially because 450 North is known for like slushy, like beers and like sour, like smoothies sort of things. But
sounds delicious.
Just an IPA. Well, I got some of these slushies in the fridge, but if I drink those without Jen, she'll probably kill me.
So I am drinking one of the beers I got from our trip to Tennessee called Bearded. It's the brewery is called Bearded Iris Brewing Company from Nashville, Tennessee, and it is Everclear.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just an ale, but it's a double dry hop ale.
Which is what mine is as well. It's also double dry hopped.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, besties.
But yeah, it's pretty delicious. Share this in another podcast episode, but this was the beer I drank right before I got sick all throughout my vacation. It was delightful.
Nice. So, are you hoping to get sick this whole next week? You done with those Santa sessions? Just going to be puking it all up?
We got more Santa sessions to go, but we'll talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to, we'll drop a link in the show notes for the Chicago wedding. If anyone wants to see a Steve Dustin mashup wedding and how that looks.
If anyone wants to see what it looks like when Steve is really reeling, both of his elbows are just bruised to hell and also scabbed over, and his head has a giant bump on it, like giant bump, and he can't sleep at night afterwards. And also he feels dizzy when he walks. If you want to see what Steve's photos look like when he's in that state, you can hit Dustin up because I don't have them anymore. But there's one point in time after that whole me getting a concussion thing where we were walking across a crosswalk and you're like, hey, Steve, you got a 35 on your camera, right? Okay, I want you to get some shots of the couple from behind as they walk across this crosswalk. And Dustin, did you use a single one of those shots, or were they all 100%. Just so blurry?
They were so blurry, but I used one of them just because the couple was the one who asked for the photo. And I had only brought a super, super wide and a 135. And
maybe I had a 50. Maybe it wasn't a 35, but either way, oh gosh.
You had like something in between like what I had. And and I was just like, oh, Steve, can you just like snag this photo of the two of them walking? Because they were like, oh, can you get a photo of us from behind like walking? And I'm like, sure. And I had the light, and so I was like, I'll light him while Steve shoots it. Steve can barely see straight, and he's kind of like staggering around like he's on meth. But it'll be good.
Times.
Yeah, it really was a bummer too, because Steven and I had this whole plan of like hitting up the fancy swanky bar at the hotel and like drinking high class bourbon. And then Steven was like, I probably should just be on a diet of Advil, and I need to sleep sitting up in case I die from a brain bleed tonight.
Oh, it's good times, man. Good times.
And then I had to leave him at like 6 a.m. and I was like, he might be dead in that bed.
I was fairly convinced I didn't have a concussion, and that was erased from my mind when I got back to Indiana and saw my doctor, and he was like, you definitely had a concussion.
Well, only you knew how hard you hit the bridge. Like,
I didn't know anything, Dustin. I blacked out. The last thing I remember was my foot hit something and I saw your face. And then the next thing I knew, I was getting up. I was opening my eyes on the ground, and a police officer was coming up and trying to get me to go to the hospital with him.
You were born again.
Yeah. Born again.
Yeah.
And you were asking me, you were like, I was really afraid you're going to like put your hand back behind your head and it's just going to be blood.
Yeah.
You were so scared.
Well,
if I had died, you would have dumped my body in the river, wouldn't you?
Well, the photos had to go on. Like, you know, as a wedding photographer, that like at the end of the day, you know, the couple's day has to preserve some sense of normalcy especially with the day that these guys had. So
let's look at the show art for this one. I'll put the photo that got me killed as the show art so people can see if it was worth me almost dying.
Yeah. So like this, the bride's hair and makeup team were running like way behind. No normal or no news there, but they're unbeknownst to me, because I was terrible at like checking the weather. There was like a huge rainstorm headed towards us, and we were
supposed to be done outside before it got there, but they were running so late.
Correct. So we had planned this first look. Steve was there with the guys. Beautiful location. And I picked the location, so there's a little bit of pressure on me to make the location awesome. And we finally get there through hell and high water. The bride leaves the best man behind to get on the trolley to get there. And
the best man is coming with the umbrellas.
And so we get to the first look location. We do the first look. And then as soon as the first look is over, it's like the first look is on the water. So you're seeing the storm just rolling at you. And it's just like, oh shit, we gotta go. And I'm like, we can hammer through these. Yeah. Optimist in me is like, we can get these photos done. And then it doesn't just start trickling rain. It just like
torrential downpour.
And my camera has still not been the same, like ever since that wedding.
My cameras are fine because, Canon, but
weather sealed. No, it's the hot shoe. I've been having a lot of trouble with my hot shoes. Yeah, but send them in once wedding season is over, if it ever ends.
It's over for me, buddy.
Should we answer some questions?
Yeah, let's do some questions. Hit them up.
Let's do some Q&A.
But Steve. All right, Donnell from a random Facebook group asked this, Steven. Okay, question. Let me lay out the story. Said photographer comes to do session, pays for session, signs contract, gets all your info, shoots session. They sign a full release with face on all mediums. Does not come for reveal after many scheduled appointments. Does not purchase anything. 6 months later, decides they are doing boudoir session and is now spouting on social media how their said boudoir photographer is using their images without permission and is shady as hell. Now, you have since removed all their images over 2 months ago because you just realized that they were not a true client and removed them from your private group and Instagram, and they just realized it. What would you do?
Did you track that at all, or were you just reading it with your eyes glazed partially over?
No, I tracked it. So essentially somebody paid for a session, did the session, and then Donnell obviously does in-person sales post-session, and they never showed up to do the sales session. And because they signed the release, Donnell was using their photos as like advertisements for boudoir sessions.
Okay.
And they were like, whoa, we never said you could use our photos, Donnell. This is some shady shit right here. I'm spouting about you on my social TikTok media. I'm about to do a reel about you, Donnell. About you, how you shady. Like if the sun came out, you'd be in the shade. Might have to get some sunglasses on because you so shady.
That's not how it works.
They're just glasses because I don't need full sunglasses because you're so shady.
Yep. Because you're in the shade, right? You don't need shades because you're in the shade.
I want to take you, Donnell, to the water park because then I won't have to put the sunblock on because Donnell, you so shady. Something like that, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's definitely probably how this person was talking afterwards. At their boudoir session after that.
So the question he asked was, so after realizing that they've been spouting out about his shadiness on the socials, he removed all their stuff because it just wasn't worth the energy. And after about 2 months of that, the client realized that he's banned them from his private group and his Instagram. What would you do? I wish you would have given a little information about like how they found out.
So yeah, no, he's actually saying 2 months before this person started spouting off about how their boudoir photographer was using images without permission and was shady as hell. 2 months before this whole thing happened was when Donnell removed the images from their website because they realized, oh, we don't actually know if this person was a real client because they didn't show up for anything. They didn't, pay for any of that stuff. And so this person has now 2 months after the removal of that stuff realized, oh, that stuff's gone. And now is like getting upset about it and mad, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, but yeah. Whatever.
We're going to chalk this up to a whatever.
I think what you would do is you would just take to your social media and you would start talking about how your client was shady as hell and how they didn't show up to any of the sessions that you were doing. And maybe every time that they posted something, you just post an image with one of your watermarks on it where they just look, it was a boudoir shoot. So just an image where they look really, really good. Maybe it was like just the right, light, or maybe it was just like the cutest outfit in the world or whatever. Just, one of those images
as I wear typically.
Nobody could ever look at it and say, this is a bad photo. And you just post that and you're like, hey, still waiting on you.
Make it sound like a dating type post, like I'm still waiting for you to come to me to have that appointment over wine where I sell you prints of these photos.
I mean, the easy way to combat this is if they're not naming you by name on any of the social stuff and they're not sharing like any of your work or anything, you just block them and move on with life. But that's not fun. It's a lot more fun to jump in that comment section and be like, hey, would love to show you the rest of your photos if you just come to your reveal session. Here's my favorite one. Don't you look amazing? Don't you think your friends and family would want to see all the photos from this boudoir session?
Yeah. Should I make these public?
Yeah. Should we go public with these? Like, I feel like we had something like a really good photography relationship.
I think that's when you put in your contract that you are best friends with a billboard company. And if you don't show up to your reveal session, that you default purchase a billboard on the busiest highway in all of whatever city or town you live in. I think as a boudoir photographer, that really is a necessity as contractual agreements go.
I can't foresee any way you'd get in trouble for doing that.
Hey, it's in the contract.
Maybe we don't have to go with a highway, thing. Maybe we just do Facebook ads with the person where we target their customers of their business.
We just place it in front of your church.
Target people who are in their boudoir Facebook group with your ads with a photo of them.
We take out a church bulletin in all of the mega churches in your town, and we promote your local dentist with your photo. No, I think at the end of the day, all of us are photographers, especially after the year we just all came through. And we're just, we've had a rough time at it. And this year it's like we're trying to do twice as much work and we're just being treated like shit by our clients. And we have this sort of feast or famine mentality, more so than we've ever had before as photographers. And I think we're a little bit more, we're sick of it. We're sick of being treated like shit.
And it's especially hard to be treated by shit by another photographer, it sounds like. So
yeah, absolutely. I forgot that point. This was a photographer that booked that.
I hate working with other photographers when they
try to kill you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I had a client a few years ago who was a photographer, and they had a request that was not covered by the contract. And I said, hey, I can make that happen, but it's going to cost this much money, because if you want these raw images as opposed to just like the edited images when I'm done, it'll cost more money for that. And I got a message back saying like, hey, I thought because you were a photographer, you'd understand, and you could just make this work for me. I was just like, how? It was really difficult because I wanted to say to this person, like, do you ever give your raw images away for free to anybody? Right. To anybody ever? And I held my ground and I just said, hey, we're not going to do that. If you want the raw images, you can pay for them. Otherwise, you have the entire gallery that I'm delivering to you. And I didn't hear anything else from that photographer. And that is the best way that situation could have ended, I feel like. But it does hurt to have somebody think that just because they're also a photographer, like that means they should get some sort of special treatment instead of respecting you. Because I guarantee any photographer I know, if they had somebody like do a give me special treatment sort of request, I shouldn't have to pay for this because we are whatever, like they would be upset about it. So I don't understand why people make that request. Like,
it's funny because so we recently tried to book a family session with a photographer, and she offered us free raw photos, and I said like, no, I don't need those. Like, we are picking you because we like your photos and we really just want you to edit them. But she was like, no, like if you bring a memory card, like I'll shoot to 2 cards and like just give you the card at the session. And I was like, okay,
I don't want to call and edit my own session.
I'm paying you to do the work here, my dear. Like this is not me. Like, because I know if you give me that card, I'm going to go home. I'm going to call those. I'm going to have to edit those because that's just who I am. And then I'm just going to be judging the hell out of your edits. Like, oh, I would have pulled those highlights back a little bit more. I would have, maybe dodged and burned that. But yeah.
What's the thing you judge most when other people are taking photos of you?
Oh, typically how I look. Like we just had a family session done a couple months ago. We're supposed to get the photos back this week, but we've seen sneak peeks. And I've already been like, don't worry about it. Take your time on those photos, my dear, because I'm not using any of those. It was all my fault. I ordered all of my outfit from Amazon and all of it came in sizes that did not fit my body correctly.
Why did you wear it then?
What I did is I ordered 3 shirts and 3 pairs of pants. And all of the pants, apparently skinny pants have gotten skinnier or my legs have grown.
Skinny pants also aren't in style anymore. Why are you out there in skinny pants?
I mean, it wasn't that I was like looking for skinny pants. My wife had wanted a specific color pant. And so I was just trying to find this rust colored pant. And then I was like, well, what goes with rust? And so I did a denim shirt.
Rusty McKibben.
Yeah. So I did.
Rustin McKibben.
Yeah. I ordered some denim shirts that apparently were designed for construction workers that like their shirts to their knees and were way too big for me. So I pants that were too tight, shirts that were too big. So I defaulted to a denim shirt that I had already owned. It did not fit anymore because I'm a shy bit bigger than I was 2 years ago when I bought that shirt. And I look pretty bad.
Sorry, bud. That's what Photoshop's for. Send them off to. Do we have a sponsor? A Photoshop sponsor?
Yeah.
Don't say bespoke tone.
Bespoke tone. But no, it was just like, it was like the most stressful session. We were running like 20 to 30 minutes late to get to the session. And so we paid for an hour session. We only got like 45 minutes. I think she gave us like a little bit extra at the end, but I felt bad. It was just, I don't know. And we do these sessions, not because really we want photos, but we do them just so we can like more be in the mindset of what our clients are feeling when they come to a session. So we can be, giving them more grace and just kind of thinking like, oh man, like I know what they've been through. Like we've gotten 3 kids ready for family photos before and then forgot all about ourselves in the process. And it's just not fun.
Yeah.
Which is why we don't do family photos anymore.
Yeah, we had a family session recently and it was like we were about to leave and then the baby was hungry and it was like, I guess we're not leaving yet.
Yep.
And that's oh gosh. Trying to be anywhere on time with a newborn is just, it's not ever going to happen. There's always something that comes up. We're about to leave and then the baby did a diarrhea and now we have to change all of the baby's clothes and the baby's outfit and we have to swap the car seat out with a different car seat because it happened in the car seat as we were about to leave. Like, and then we got to wash that car seat, you got to get it wet. You can't let that poop set in. But that's life, man. That's just life. Yeah. Great, beautiful, wonderful life. Christopher Withers from our very own Facebook group says, gotta love this email. So many things I would love to ask or mention. Hey there, says the client. Your photography is amazing. Photography on a special day is really important. We would love for you to capture our wedding, but our budget is not very big. We just got done taking a couple vacations, and now we are starting to pay for the wedding. Do you offer any discounts?
Oh, I love this. That's like saying like, hey, we like to drink Starbucks every day. Do you offer discounts because we have other bad habits?
You're gonna go avocado toast on this?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we just got done on a Carnival cruise, not a Royal Caribbean cruise, but a Carnival cruise. So I was wondering if we could shave like maybe $500 off your middle to high package. Or maybe you could bring a second shooter along, not pay him up front, and then kill him off the bridge. Maybe save us a little cheddar on the back end. Maybe we work together here.
Sounds great. I would just write back and be like, hey, no, that's great. I was actually planning on taking a vacation this year. So I'll give you the I'm not taking a vacation discount since you took a couple vacations. So
yeah. Could you take a vacation for me?
You stole a vacation straight out of my calendar and put it into your calendar. So I guess that's life.
I love that. Taking a couple of it. So what I've learned, how do I say this gracefully? So my sister is getting married. We'll just jump straight into it next year. And she's constantly complaining about how expensive wedding things are and she can't afford things.
Is this your sister who's also a wedding photographer? Or is this the other sister?
No, this is one of the many other sisters I have.
Many others. So this is the other one.
I have 3 sisters. This is one that doesn't get spoken about often. Yeah.
Wow. This is blowing my mind right now. I'm learning so much about Dustin.
Yeah. 3 sisters. 2 of which are getting married next year. And so she is just always complaining about this. And then we just did a big family vacation to Tennessee and we all went to Dollywood and did the whole thing. And she was like buying the souvenir cups and buying, all of the things at the Dollywood. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, for someone who just got done like this morning complaining about the cost of wedding stuff, like is also willing to spend $35 on a souvenir cup per family member in her family at Dolly. Like, so it's just kind of like made me really think like weddings people think are expensive, but it's all about how much you prioritize that item in the wedding or like at all in general. Like it doesn't even have to be just wedding related. Like we bought a 5x7 photo from Dollywood that was $45. It was just like our photo of us as we came into the park. Because I was like,
I say geez, but I think we charge around $45 for a 5x7.
Yeah, it's like, well, and it was like, gosh, it's like, you know, after being in this business for this is like I think our 15th year shooting weddings, and I'm just like, you know, how can I get upset that like this is a solid photo of us five, and that is something that's really hard to get nowadays, and
yeah.
And I'm like, I will pay $45 for that 5x7.
Yeah, no, last time Jen went to Disney, she bought the photo pass because she just realized I don't want to be worrying about taking photos with my iPhone when I could just, you know, go up to the photo things wherever and just get photos of me.
And we thought about getting the photo pass at Dollywood. And I was like, nah, like I don't think we're going to ride that many rides with the kids. Being so young. And then so like, because they try to like, once you buy the tickets, you get the email that's like, hey, you should really buy the photo pass. And as soon as we walk in the park, it's like big banner. Sorry, due to staff shortages, like there are limited photographers around the park. So there are no photos for your photo pass. And I'm like, glad we didn't get the photo pass. But on the upside, like all the locations where like you would take photos and there'd be like a staff photographer there, you could just like go up and take it with your phone, which was great. But then like you don't all get to be in it, which is the perk of like a photo pass type of thing.
Yeah. All right, we got to do one more question. Kenzie Ray McMullen from our very own Facebook group says, question, guys. Hey, she's talking to you and me. The guys. We're the guys. We're guys, man.
We could be the gals too, though, Kenzie. Like we can like answer all things from all perspectives, right, Steve?
Yeah. We could definitely answer all things from all perspectives, not just the white middle class male perspective. Don't
pigeonhole us.
Question, guys. I did photos for a pretty major boat company.
Wink,
of their
wink.
Employees, kind of like a branding session. I charge my normal branding session price as I would for any other business. Now they're asking for the raws so they can manipulate them on their own. Wondering what I should charge them for this and how to word it. So far, I have this. Wow, burps. Sorry about that.
Sir burps a lot.
Yeah, I don't usually provide raw files because I don't allow anyone to retouch or edit my photos. With that being said, I would be willing to work out a separate agreement for the raw files. This would be some amount of money for just the raw files of photos I delivered or some amount of money for all the photos I took that day. Please let me know what you would like to move forward with. Help, please. Rustin McKibben, give her some help. Come on, Rustin.
So it's a little different in the corporate world versus like the wedding world. Because in the wedding world, it's like if a bride or groom asks for the raw photos, you know, it's pretty easy to dissuade them when you're like, you don't even have software to open these files. But in the corporate world, oftentimes, if they have like an in-house design team or an in-house graphics department, it's not uncommon for them to say like, hey, like, you know, we hired you for your look, your style, your editing, all that's good. But in the event, like, you know, we want to use this for something else down the road, we'd like to, just for historical sake, have everything. And so I will constantly just slap like whatever price I'm feeling at that given moment when they ask me. And you just make it high, like, you know, make it worth your while. Because if you've already been hired to shoot it, it's not like, you know, they're going to like unhire you. I think they would still hire you again. And I would just charge whatever you feel is worth it for the raw photos. But I like your approach, Kenzie. I like your approach of saying like, hey, 2 options. One option if you want to do a per photo fee, or if you want the whole set. They will guarantee do the whole set, because more than likely they're just doing this because they're like got some designer that's like emailed up to the advertising department and they're like, hey, we might need these for like a banner we're going to put on this other boat company's website, and we want to be able to go in there and like kind of match the colors or change the colors of the boat if we decide to change things and stuff like that. So I would just make the price worth your time. Like, you know, if you charged, I don't know, $2,000 for the branding session, make it like $1,000 for the raw photos.
Yeah. Man, I wish now I had saved my story about the photographer who asked me for the raws.
I know.
Until now.
Way to be relatable, Steve.
Oh, gosh.
Way to be relatable.
Yeah. I would agree with Dustin about that. The other thing I would say you could say is, hey, I was just curious if you were wanting what the edits were you were wanting made. And you could also offer to charge them a price for you to do the edits if you don't want to send the raws over. And you could say, hey, that's great, but going forward, if we're going to do edits on this, you have to go through me because I don't allow other people to edit my photos, which is an option. And I don't know how that'll work out for you, but sometimes it works out really well. And then you become, you know, somebody who gets more work because you're changing the colors of the lines on the boat from one year to the next or whatever. Or you just tell them to piss off because you don't want to do corporate work anymore. You know what I'm talking about? You know?
Everybody wants that sweet, sweet corporate money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with you there.
Especially boats. Boats are fun. I've always wanted to do a boat shoot.
Yeah.
I did one in Michigan. What was that, last year? I'm losing all track of time. And
thanks for listening to another episode of the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast. I'm sorry, were you going somewhere with that? It sounded like you were just trying to remember a shoot you did. Like you didn't have a story there or anything.
No, it just did some shots of some boats.
If you love the show, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We're at Wedding Photo Hangover on Instagram. Rustin is at Rustin McKibben, and I'm at Steven Van Elk. We have an awesome Facebook group you should join. Just search for the Wedding Hangover. If you want more content, you can also join us over on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/WBH. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Your head is pounding, your limbs feel like dead weight, and your entire being aches for the sweet embrace of death. That's right. Next week after you shoot another wedding. What a good, Dustin. Real quick before we go.
What a good. We're just kind of coming. I don't know with this episode, Steve, if we're like 2 months ago talking or if we're now or where we are in time.
Live in the now. What a good now.
We're just coming to the end of fall. We're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Finally feeling like we're getting almost caught up and trying to stay alive. How about you? How about you, Steve? What a good father of three. Right,
well, what a good it was Dustin artfully cutting me off after asking me about the Lightroom masking. That was that graced my heart. It's beautiful.
It felt like a Steve move. It felt like a Steve move.
It's beautiful. I you know what? I'm so proud of you, my podcast partner. I'm so proud of you. But Lightroom masks are actually really good. I did use them on an engagement shoot. They wanted like fall colors, and it was down in Brown County. And we weren't actually.
Fall has been terrible this year.
Yeah, So when we got there, most of the trees were like a little bit like they're mostly green with like a little bit of yellow orange in them. So for their entire engagement session, I used the select subject mask, and then I inverted it and boosted the saturation a little bit and boosted the colors a little bit in the leaves, so it did actually look like fall. And the client freaking loved it. So it was a big lifesaver for me to lie to everybody who looks at my photography.
Don't worry about reality. Don't worry about reality, client. Like, I am the altered reality photographer.
Yeah.
Your wedding. No. So now going into their wedding, they're going to have this expectation like, oh, We wanted snow in our July wedding, Steven. Steven, can you make it rain with snow in our wedding photos with all of your magic?
Yeah, and then I'll be like, hey, yeah, cool. Let me pull up those new neural filters on Photoshop, and I can just click the winter landscape button, and it'll take care of it for me.
Yes, Steven, I want it to look like snow in all of them, Steven, even the inside ones for our 3-hour Catholic Mass, Steven.
Yeah, don't worry. Photoshop can take care of it. It's going to cost this much more money. Thanks.
But Steven, I've heard you are the bespoke of tones, Steven. You can just dynamite all of the photos that you give us with like the 4 colors you did in September.
It's been delightful podcasting with you this week, Dustin. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Goodbye, Steven. It was so fun to talk to you at this time and place.
You son of a bitch.
You mother button son of a bitch. This has been Christopher Watkins signing off.
Christopher Walken with some sort of weird speech impediment. Not a real speech impediment, some sort of made up weird one.
I don't know what you're saying, Steven.
You sound like a drunk Christopher Walken is what I'm saying. That's your speech impediment. It's
been
drunk.
A very good beer from a very good Tennessee brewery.
Wedding Photo Hangover was edited this week by Steve Van Elk of Bespoke Tone. Go to Bespoke Tone for all of your photo, video, and audio editing needs.